What? Python takes us to advance. Functions call with melodies. Logic flows like gentle seas. Syntax singing in the breeze. Bugs are just a minor tease.
Hey guys, how you doing? How's your day going? And we're just starting. How was your night? Hope you are having an amazing and a beautiful day today. For those of you who don't know this, my name is Praise, and you're currently tuned into my channel. So this channel is everything tech, Python mainly. And on that note, I just want to quickly introduce you guys to something called PyCommune. It's the number one Python community for Python devs. It has every single thing you need, from source codes, snippets, hackathons, mentorship programs. If you want to be a mentor, also, it has job boards, both within, like, internally and externally. It has literally every single thing you as a Python developer would need to grow. Whether you are a beginner, you are a pro, it doesn't matter what stage you are in as a developer. PyCommune is where you should be. It's going to be launching December, but you can join the early program now. This is the beta launch, so you can join now and get amazing benefits. So what are you waiting for? Head over to pycommune.com.ng, create your account, and explore the greatness that is PyCommune. But yeah, without further ado, let's just jump into the video we have for today. So today we are going to be touching a NoSQL, which is AWS's DynamoDB, and we're going to see how to integrate it into Python. So this is going to be a two-parter. So the first one, we're going to integrate it into Python. The second one, we're going to use it in Django. And if you want me to try it with any other framework, you can feel free to let me know, but we're just going to use it in Python first. So we're going to be running it using Docker. So if you guys don't know what Docker is and you want me to walk you through that, you can let me know. But I already have Docker installed. I have my Linux installed. I just have my Docker is set up and it's running. So we're going to create our Docker compose file, which is docker-compose.yml. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my, like, let's just jump in. So we're going to just pass in a few things. Firstly, we're going to just write our version. We'll just use, let's say, 3.8. Next, we want to now have a list of services. So we're going to have our DynamoDB, and we're running it locally since we're not using the hosted one on AWS. And we're going to just have image. So it's Amazon DynamoDB dash local. Okay. Then next, we want to define the container name that we're going to be using, and we'll just call it DynamoDB local, and the port that we want it to run on. So we are going to have it running on, so we're just going to have it running on 8000. Okay, and lastly, let's just pass in the command. So that is jar dynamodb local.jar shared db. Just get rid of this. Okay, then the next thing we need to define is our main .py. So this main.py is going to kind of like serve as a migrator. So, you know, let's say for example, if you're running it in Django, you have something that is called make migrations. So think of this as like our main migrator file. So we're going to be using a model called BOTO3. I think you would need to install that. I can't remember if it comes import. I can't remember if it comes pre-installed. But if it doesn't, maybe you can just install it. I don't know. So we're just going to first we're going to do is make reference to our server. So you have You have dynamodb is equals to bot3.resource. Then we're just passing dynamodb our URL, which is port 8000. The region name, usually when you're creating a server with AWS, they have like a bunch of different regions, so depending on which. Then for your access key and your secret key, you can just pass dummy as the values. Next is now to handle what table we want to create. So let's create a table. Let's just do something for user management. So let's create a function that creates a table. So to create table, so um let's just use this. I will not store this long typing on this date as we go. Okay, so table is equals to dynamodb.create table. Our table name is going to be users because it's a table to manage the users we have. Then our key symbol, let's have user ID, and we'll have our key type is hash. Then attributes definitions. So we're going to have user ID and provisions throughput. So this just usually when you're defining anything then dynamodb, you need to define the amount of unit or capacity that you want to use to for read and write actions. So when you're working with data that usually involve minimal um minimum right and is mainly to just fetch data from it, then MongoDB is like a good alternative. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I think that is like what Duolingo uses. So since we're just working on a small project, we don't really need much. So that should be enough. So MongoDB. So we have key schema attributes definition. Okay. Then we'll just close the table, and now we can return the table out of the function so we can actually make use of it. So now we want to create elements inside that table or objects inside that table. So we'll just create another function to do that. So a function that just creates users. So the values you would need is the user ID, you will need the username and the email. So we'll just reference the table that this is going to be saved inside. So that is dynamo.table user. So even when you are doing it in Django, you just use this but kind of as creating a model. So instead of using your normal model, your models.model, you use a dynamo model. So our table is going to be equal to dynamodb.table, the users table. Then we're going to create a response to put an item into the table. So that is table dot put item. Then we'll now list out the item. So our user ID, our username, and our email. Then we would return it. Then we'll just if underscore name, if underscore name is equals to underscore main. We'll just create table. We don't really need to print it, so let's just get it sharp. And now in our terminal we'll just start our docker. Okay, so if it's your first time running it, there will be certain installations that would be um made. So once you already have it running, we'll define a file that actually allows us to test it. So if you don't want to do this, if you don't want to use Python and run it, so like let's say if you want, there are multiple ways to access your database is running right now. You could either use Python, so we could write code in Python to add items to it. We could write code in Python to fetch. So what we're going to do is just write code to create, and that way you can use the DynamoDB's web GUI interface. I think you need to use npm and install that, or you can go and download the NoSQL um app, their workbench, and you could just use that, which is what I'm using. So I think I've already initialized this. I'm already in my operation builder, but if it was your first time, if you just come to operation builder, you'll be asked to create a connection. Okay, so you'll be asked to, let's just delete this and create a new connection. So you'll be asked to add a connection. So you would see you have remote. So if it's your first time running it, you would have to first of all make sure you turn on DDB local, so you'll be able to use your local port. So you add a connection, so you go to DB local, you can just give your connection a name, and then you define the hosts and the ports that you set it to run on, depending on what you did in your Docker. And if you just connect to it, you can now open it up. So let's first of all create the table. So we'll use it, you can do it here manually, but let's use Python, because most of the times you would want to have a code that anyone can just get. You can just push the code into your companies, whatever, and people can just use it from there. So not everyone is using a local server. So let's get familiar with actually working with. Because same as if you were working with like DynamoDB is a NoSQL, so it's not as structured as SQL. But even if you were working with like normal SQLs, or if you're working with Postgres, the same as you would have apps that you could use to manage your database, but you also need to have that familiarity with working with SQL codes to be able to control it. So sorry, wrong project. Sorry. So let's just create something to use and run it. So we'll just import all those functions that we created. So we're going to import create table and create user and get user. Then we'll just create the table. So just going to say table is going to be equals to create underscore table, and then you can just print messages to keep track and see what the current status are, just in case an error occurs. And we're going to almost do the same thing for creating users. So response is going to be equals to create underscore user, and then we're going to pass the user details we want to create. So the very first thing we want is, let's just say the UID. So random values. Obviously we can set up a program to automatically generate that. Then we can say username and the user email. So if you were working on an official business, like the way I would go about this is importing UUID, using that auto generate this value. So in our main here, instead of passing UID here as an argument that we'd want, we'll just auto generate it on this line here. But this is just so you can see how to initialize it into not if I can get user. So we'll just see how to initialize it into our project. So yeah, we can just print something to see the whether or not it was created. And yeah, let's save that. And you can just run this now as a normal Python program. So you just say you can either you come to your terminal here and run it, or you can run it here, but let's just Python for those people who are using, who are not using IDE. So the name of our file in this case is test underscore dynamo .py. So you just run that Dynamo Python file. Okay. Sorry. Let's define the get user. Let's just define the get user. So we'll just say def get. So this one is just to fetch. So get underscore user. I didn't say user underscore ID. So we're going to use the UID to filter. I'll just say the table is equal to dynamo.table users, then our response is equal to table dot get item and the key we're using to get it. Then we're going to return response dot get. So we're just fetching it as a dictionary. So when we run it, you're going to see, but the value is a JSON file it usually gives us, which if you look at it, the structure is similar to the structure of your Python dictionaries. So when you're treating elements, you just in your mind you just see it as that, just see as a JSON file. And if you are familiar with dictionaries, it should be easy for you to fetch items from it. So to just fetch user, say user is equals to get underscore user, and the user ID that we created is okay, and we can just print that. So just print. Okay, let's run that. So you're seeing, so user created. So yeah, so if you see under the user that was created, when we just retrieve the user, you have like the user ID, the email, the username. So if we go to our app here, just refresh that, we can see the user tables that we just created now. So this metadata is just like all the stuffs that we just defined when we're creating the table. I think it's supposed to have passed that in our terminal. It's supposed to have passed that in our terminal. Yeah, so the response metadata. So you can just since if you work with APIs, you should be familiar with some of these things. You'll have your headers, your status code, and so on and so forth. So yeah. So this is just it here. You can modify it in here if you wish. This app is just to make it easier to manage it, but why take the lazy way out as a developer? Yeah, so this is just ease management. But if you go back to the table itself, you can see the user you just created. If you want to create a new user, you can do so too. This one is for filtering. You can delete it. So let's create an item. So our new user has been created. So let's go back to our code and get this one user 111. So just go back to our program user. We can even create a program here that it takes user fuck huh, we'll say user is going to be equals to an input field. I'll just give them a prompt, say please provide the user ID, and then we're now going to say user is going to be get user. Yeah, let's just get rid of this one. We can run it. We say we want user 111, and it's just going to pass us the details of it. So that's just like an example of how you can use it. Obviously, when you're creating a table, you may want to pass conditions to, like, if table already exists, if this, if that, catch all those errors and whatnot. But yeah, that's basically it. If you want to create a new table, you can easily do that. You want to add new attributes to your table, you can also easily do that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to check out pycommune.com. It's offer if you are looking for a passive income, pycommune is still the way to go. Refer people, earn points, and convert those points to actual money. But I'll see you guys in our next videos. Thank you guys for watching. Bye guys.